Highlight courtesy of NBC. Welcome back. It is Fox Sports Radio Wisconsin, the Huddle. I'm Billy Schmidt. Hunter Baumgart's right there. Armin Sarian's got the Olympic gear on for the wrong network. We won't talk about that here because Chris Vosters now joins us. Play-by-play man for the Olympics on hockey. Chris, appreciate the time, man. Thank you for doing this. Been a big fan for a long time. I know when you have called basketball games at Wisconsin, you've had the luck, the distinguished honor of doing like a 2.5-hour pregame show, I feel like, with Brian Butch during a delay. How did that prep you for calling the Olympics where you guys are? Because you guys are doing a phenomenal job, maybe not feeling all of the energy of being right on site. It's been so good.
Well, thanks, Bill. Yeah, you can certainly empathize to the perils of sudden programming changes in radio, I'm sure. And I like listening to you on pre and post game shows for the Badger football specifically. But nothing can prepare you for 2.5 hours on the radio with Brian Butch. But yes, It does help down the road with just being able to think on your feet, roll with the punches. I think that's a key trait to work in this industry. So yeah, that was sometimes you lose power in the gym, as was the case at the Greenbrier tip-off that day. So sure. you gotta work with what you got.
And sometimes you run out of snacks, which usually doesn't happen with Butch, but it does when you have those The one thing Butch always has is snacks. But listen, sometimes if you don't have them, you have to bring your own. Chris, thanks for joining us. I did see, speaking of the right network, I did see that Milwaukee is right up there, tied for third, and right up there with one of the home markets that loves the Winter Olympics the most, that's watching the most. Does that surprise you at all that Wisconsinites love the Winter Olympics and love watching NBC? It doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me at all either, Armin. And yeah, I saw that as well. And I thought the same thing. And personally, I'm sure you guys would agree. I think there's definitely a Jordan Stolz bump this year. I think with him being one of the faces of the Olympics and with how good he was supposed to be. And not only that, but the extent to which he's already delivered on his sky-high Olympic expectations. So I think Wisconsin has got such a great speed skating tradition specifically that when U.S. speed skating is good, there's definitely going to be a bump coming from the Milwaukee area. But no, not surprised at all. Wisconsin always represents Team USA so well at the Winter Olympics. And growing up as a kid in Brookfield, I was a huge fan of the Winter Olympics. Would carve out the time during my school schedule, of course, to watch whenever I could. But so it was great to see Milwaukee up so high on the local market ratings.
Knowing that you obviously did that, Chris, and enjoyed it as a kid, what's it like calling it now on NBC? I mean, I'm guessing that's a kind of a surreal thing, especially at the beginning. Obviously, it's a job to do, but you got to be loving every second of it.
It is. It's totally a full circle moment. I love, even though not being on site for the Olympics, like as Bill mentioned, NBC does a great job of providing an atmosphere at their studio in Stamford, Connecticut, where they bring the games to you, I would say. And, there are literally 3,000 plus people in the building 24/7 working on the Olympic broadcast. So there's tremendous energy in the building. They've got decorations, they've got food and snacks that, are designed to make you feel like you're in the host country. So there's just a one of a kind energy about the Olympics that is totally unique to all the sporting events that I cover. And as I said, personally, growing up, I was a huge Olympics junkie. My dad was the sports medicine doctor for the U.S. Olympic speed skating team for the 2002 games, which was when Apollo Ono had his breakout Olympics. So, it's special for me on a personal note as well. There's always been Team USA gear in the house. My parents' basement has still got a bunch of my dad's Olympic memorabilia from the Salt Lake Games. So it's definitely full circle to be able to cover it professionally in my line of work.
So Chris Foster is joining us here, voice of hockey on NBC Sports for the Olympics. So how much pride is Pop's taking? I mean, like, I know you're probably not hearing it all over the place, but he's letting everybody know of the games that you're on to let everybody know the pride's got to be incredible.
Yeah, and he's got his hand up for gear like this after the Olympics. He's the guy that wants. He wants some of the hand-me-downs when we see each other after the games. But No, he's proud for sure, and I'm equally proud of him. So it's another cool moment that we've been able to share in a sense, father and son.
Chris, when you look at the puck that's being played, the caliber of hockey feels like it's not been higher, right? Like, and you see it at all different levels, the way that you cover the game. And I think college hockey has been incredible as it continues to go. And probably NIL might assist college hockey more than anybody's going to think. But it feels like the athleticism is greater than it's ever been. The speed of the game is phenomenal. And you're getting to showcase just some of the best shot making that you're going to see in the sport. I mean, it is incredible how good the hockey is right now.
I agree. And then you just factor in the obvious heightened emotion of putting on a national team sweater. And it's definitely been not a breath of fresh air, but I feel like certainly in the United States, there are more eyes, more attention being paid to Olympic hockey this year, specifically because of some of the factors that you've mentioned, because the college game continues to improve, because NHL players are back in the Olympics for the first time since 2014, because the women's game continues to grow, because there's a burgeoning women's league in the PWHL that seems to have good financial backing and good grounding. And then also with the success last year of the Four Nations tournament, the U.S., Canada, Sweden, Finland played in a round robin exactly 1 year ago. There was a cross-through, a breakthrough moment, I think, to the mainstream sports fan watching international best-on-best hockey. And I think across sports, with baseball as well, getting ready for the World Baseball Classic, there is a tremendous appetite for that among sports fans, seeing best-on-best in a national team setting. So I think it's been a great moment for the sport of hockey. I think a lot of people are interested in the game, and the skill level has been incredible on both the men's and the women's side. It's been a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah, that Four Nations face-off thing is interesting because I agree with you, Chris. I think it does have a huge effect in getting people excited about the Olympics whenever there's international hockey game at play. Maybe because it's already such an international game, but in a world of sports where a lot of times all-star games are failing on the other end, that one seemed to work. Do you think there's an aspect of, we just accept international play as part of hockey more, and is that it? Or is it just more of, we have this appetite for some great sports stories, and, Olympics hockey, 1980, that's still one of the great American sports stories. I think is that all kind of part of it?
I think so, for sure. And I think, if you look at some of the storylines on the U.S. men's team, I mean, it's great seeing Brady and Matthew Tkachuk not only play together, but be on the same line together. And, anyone who's a fan of hockey can't help but watch the Canadian team, their power play. You've got Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon all on the ice playing at the same time. I mean, it is remarkable. I mean, it is awfully close to like dream team level of play when you had Jordan and Patrick
Totally.
Ewing and Charles Barkley. I mean, it's like it is up there. So I think that's just at the core, like where all of this comes from. I think as sports fans, you want to see best on best, and with the Olympics specifically, there's always the feel of amateurism that's still in there. The fact that the non-traditional athlete can have an Olympic moment, and certainly the Miracle on Ice team has got a piece of that as well, being all college students at the time, many of them teenagers. So I think that's kind of where you get sort of a meeting of the crossroads. You've got these in hockey's case, these multi-million-dollar athletes that are living in the Olympic Village, rooming up in dorms with just like every other athlete for their nation's country. So I think it kind of gets back to the purity of sport, and shows that even these guys that make a lot of money, they play for love of game and love of country.
Yeah. You mentioned the 3,000 people or so at NBC making this thing happen, calling all of the different events. Take us a little bit through what a day is like calling an event from there, with the games going on in Italy, and how you're able to get that atmosphere and how you prepare, and just take us a little bit behind the scenes there.
Sure. So, the schedule for Milan is a little bit better than it was for, say, like the Tokyo Summer Olympics, where there was a complete polarity in the schedule. Like Tokyo was 13 hours ahead of Stanford, so it was like 6 a.m. here was 7 a.m. there. There's a little bit more done during the daylight hours here for the Milan Olympics in the United States, but the first games of the hockey schedule take place a little bit after noon in Milan, which is a little bit after 6 o'clock Eastern time. So it's still plenty early, but you walk in there and for my 6 o'clock hockey game yesterday, you walk in there and it's still dark outside, but you look around and everybody else is there for work, and so you kind of forget that you're tired or you just woke up, and they've got a nice like espresso bar in the commissary, which is of course
necessary,
twisted in the Italian way. So cappuccinos, lattes, whatever you'd like. But NBC does such a great job documenting their history in sports broadcasting. So actually one of the first things that I see when I walk in is a large black and white edited photo of Super Bowl I. So my Packers fandom immediately gets stoked right when you walk in. But they've got a big wall with all of the plaques for all of the Olympic games that have been broadcast on NBC. So Armin, no 98 Nagano. I'm sorry to say, but every just about every other one.
All the rest, pretty much all the rest. Yeah, exactly.
98 Nagano is still a great Olympics as well.
Sure.
But you walk down the hall and then you make a turn and it's you get to a really wide hallway at the back of the building, and they call that I-95 for the actual interstate that runs up the East Coast. And that's kind of the main drag, truly, where you've got all of the big studios that you see part of the Olympic coverage, whether you're watching on CNBC or Universal during the day. A lot of those studios, of course, are the ones that you see, for example, Sunday Night Football during the football season. And then one of those studios has been repurposed into just a series of VO booths, so voiceover booths. And so hockey is booth 2, and booth 3 or whatever, the one right across the way from us, is curling. So you kind of go in there and you hear these snapshots, these exclamation points of like big action that might be happening in other events that you're not doing. So it's a humble setup, I guess. We're just calling games off monitors, and then I'm sitting in a booth right next to my color commentator, and then there's a dividing wall, and the other side of that is our producer, who's basically just getting the cues from OBS, from the Olympic Broadcast Service. So instead of every country sending their own camera crews and technical crews over there, the Olympics provide the camera work and the shots, and in some cases even the graphics, and then they send that right to us at NBC, and then we kind of take it and then we'll doctor it up with some of our own graphics if there's something specifically that we want to emphasize. And then, we kind of mesh that into whatever the programming flow is for whatever channel we're on, whether it's CNBC, Universal, NBC, or Peacock. So, that's kind of, I guess I'm getting a little bit into the technical jargon that maybe the average fan wouldn't care so much about. But, like there's all kinds of, even some of the quirky stuff too. Like, you walk through and there's, you can practice your Italian, and they've always got the
little Duolingo live.
A little bit, yeah. I've been a little bit timid to try that, but the medal count is always on display, so you get pumped up being a part of it for sure.
The hallways are like the gold zone. You just get to hear all the greatest moments from all the different ones.
Totally,
that's tremendous.
Yeah. Totally.
Chris, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Do we have one last time for one more broadcast nerdy question? One last one? Okay. So, one more. Chris, in all the games you've called, right? Called the highest level in the NHL and all, how different is it? Are you using like a full ice look? Are you getting the all 11 or all 12, you'd call it in hockey, with the 5 and the goaltenders? Or are you noticing when you're watching it, calling it off the monitor, of what we're almost seeing, that it's easier for you to identify? It's fascinating. You guys have done such a good job with it.
Well, thanks. And so, the unique challenge about doing these Olympic hockey broadcasts is that we are just calling it off the program feed, just calling it off of what you see at home. And we I've done remote broadcasting plenty, you know, and I always have it like an all 11 or, you know, even like an all 4 or something like that. You're always able to see the other camera angles. Don't have that for this. So it is truly, you know, there, like, candidly, there are some times where, you know, there are some blind spots, and, you know, you kind of just through, you know, calling the game, you kind of get a sense for, okay, that was offside, or no, that was actually a penalty, or I think that was a high stick. So, you know, you kind of have to, you know, you just can't, you have to hedge a little bit. You know, you just can't go out and say what happened unless you're actually 100% sure. So it makes for a unique challenge, I think, to this broadcast assignment specifically. But, you know, again, like the one shot that you're given does a good job picking up, you know, 95% of the action.
It's one of those moments where if you told the young aspiring broadcaster Chris Vosters, hey, you're going to get to do the Olympics, but you're going to call it on a tin can and only be able to watch the game
Right.
cast, I think you'd probably take the assignment. Just the program feed will be good, and you guys have knocked it out of the park, man. It's been awesome. So thank you for the time, and thank you for all the work, and we're going to continue to watch and enjoy it, man.
Love to hear it. Enjoying the new show, and always happy to come on with you guys, and thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're the man,
Chris.
dude. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.